Only two things are required to keep me happy: keep my belly full and my balls empty.
What is it with some men deciding that their wedding day is the day they want to humiliate their new bride? So we keep seeing these videos where these grooms are humiliating their new wives on their wedding day. And I think that this is a great example of what happens when you try to turn a shut-up ring into a marriage. Every year, there are new videos that go viral where couples are doing the cake feeding thing. And the wife is always like, please don't smash it in my face.
Don't shove it.
Because who wants cake in your nose or in your hair that costs a lot of money? And the groom ends up smashing it in her face anyway, and the wife ends up being really, really upset. And when you look back at the photos and videos from the wedding, it's clearly not funny at all. But they do that anyway, despite knowing all of the work and money and time that it took in order to give them this nice wedding. Well, for a lot of these men, it's because I feel like there's a part of them that resents the fact that they had to marry you. They didn't want to lose you, and they didn't want you to leave. You gave them a time frame or something, and they knew that it would be over. And now smashing cake in your face is a way of getting back at you for making them dress up and making them do this thing, and they get to try to humiliate you on that day. I think that a lot of these men are way too old to think that stuff like this is funny, because it's not funny at all. In a lot of these videos, a lot of friends and family are looking horrified at the groom. This man did this not because he's a Neanderthal or has no social skills. It's because he hates her. And I know that it sounds super dramatic, but he hates her. They get married because they know that they get all the benefits, but they don't actually want to be married. My friend Mel, who was happily married, said that she honestly did not want to get married because all she saw for the most part of her life were husbands who clearly hated their wives. And that even if they didn't clearly hate their wives, they were totally fine letting their wives do literally everything. A lot of men benefit from marriage because they don't plan on doing anything for that couple. They are parasitic in nature. And here's the thing that is so fascinating about it. So my friend was talking about how she'd always heard that men benefit from marriage and that they get raises and all that stuff. And she said that as soon as her and her husband got married, her husband's boss all of a sudden took him a lot more seriously. He took his vacation days a lot more seriously. And if they had kids, she said that she could have guaranteed that her husband would have gotten a raise. Whereas when women get married, our careers actually suffer. We do a lot more housework and a lot of unpaid labor in the home, while the man gets free intimacy, a free therapist, and secretary. And depending on if your husband has strong male relationships, entertaining a husband who has no friends. So if most men get literally all the benefits of marriage, why are they still pissed that they have to get married? And that's because they don't actually like the women that they choose to marry. They don't actually want to see those women as human beings, because a lot of times they're only getting married for the benefits of marriage, and they're pissed that they can't go mess with other women freely, although a lot of them end up doing it anyway. So instead, this man's like, oh, I guess I'll go marry this woman because she probably pressured it into him, because he was probably like dating her forever and he didn't want to look like the bad guy. And this is why it's so important to ever marry a man that you have to pressure into getting married. And that's why I've been doing these videos on shut-up rings. Pressuring a man who embarrasses you on a regular basis is extremely dangerous and has cost many, many women their lives, because this type of behavior escalates. The core of all abuse, physical, mental, is emotional. And if nothing else, it'll cause a lot of damage through your nervous system, because they'll be in such a bad mood and you'll have to walk around on eggshells with them. Did you know that women who are married with kids have a lower lifespan than single women by at least 2 years? We have to stop assuming that men are stupid, because they are not. We have to stop assuming that they don't have any social skills. They are massively manipulative, and they are great at self-preservation, which isn't a bad thing, and I wish that more women preserve themselves in a similar way that men do. Another thing that we got to do is that we got to stop giving them the benefit of the doubt, because it kind of boils down to the fact that these men know that they need you. He knows that he needs you, and he hates you for it. One of the most dangerous things that you can do for your life is to be with a man that is marrying you only because he has to. And the most dangerous thing that you can do, the riskiest thing that you can do, is marry a man. 70% of women at some point in their lives will be assaulted by a man that is close to her. So do yourself a favor and do not take this decision lightly. And if and when you decide to get married, no matter how much you trust that man, you better get all the paperwork to protect yourself and always have your own money. Because I can promise you, this woman is probably not okay. I'm legit scared for her because we only witnessed one incident of him humiliating her and how much he hates her. Imagine what happens behind closed doors. A lot of these men are playing out Revenge of the Nerds with their wives. And now they have this live-in nerd that they can push around and take out all their stuff on, and she'll still sleep with him and do all of his labor. Men have every reason in the world to get married, and women have so few. They should be begging us to marry them, not the opposite.
Now watch his reaction. I'm seeing very few people talking about what's actually happening in this. His face doesn't suddenly drop because he realizes he destroyed the cake. He clearly destroyed the cake with the first swipe of that giant sword, and we'll come back to how phallic and everything that is, and just straight up toxic masculinity. But we'll circle back to that. His face drops when he hears the reaction of other people. So let's play it back. Here he is, gleefully destroying the cake. Everything's good. Everything's fine. People are reacting with the oohs and ahs, and all of a sudden, face drops. And then that's when he picks up the beer and starts trying to play like, oh, he's so drunk, trying to play it off. Oh, what a big accident. I just was over enthusiastic. What we're seeing in real time is men are being revealed as abusers. And they don't want to be exposed. So they start playing into this, dumb husband, bumbling idiot role. I mean, you guys got to see this in real time. We're going to run it back once more. It's just a few seconds. It starts out, look, he's gleefully destroying the cake. He's destroying the cake actively. He's not stopping. He's fine. There's nothing wrong with this man. But then he hears the sighs. He's looking around. Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. He's picking up the bottle. He's acting ashamed. Oh, he's got to wipe the sweat off his brow. I'm so drunk. How can I save the cake? Oh my goodness, I'm just so flustered. And then he gets off camera very quickly. This is all intentional. These guys are so used to intimidating their victims in private that they mess around and forget and abuse them in public. And they're like, oh, snap. How am I going to preserve my good guy image? So he knew better than to smash the cake in her face. He's very clever because he knows we've already marked that as abusive. He knows nobody's going to think that's a good natured joke. So instead, he swipes as hard as he can at the cake. He is taking all his frustration out on the cake. He is violent towards this cake. This is what happens when you try to turn a shut up ring into a marriage, ladies. These guys have been clear. They do not want to marry you, and that's not an excuse for his behavior. I'm just saying there were many red flags before this day. But once he's into destroying the cake, he thought everybody was going to laugh along. When he started getting kind of booed and whatnot as the bad guy, he couldn't take it. He's used to being the affable, nice guy. So I'm going to flip the script. I'm going to play the victim. This guy is clearly a very mentally agile abuser, and she better watch out. I hope she's safe now.
Once again, thank you all for liking and subscribing. Please make sure to click the bell as well so that you can get notifications as soon as I post new content. And if you'd like to support my channel, I put my Venmo and my PayPal here. Thanks again.